Hey there, welcome back to the channel. My name is Carrie with bluescitypickin, and if you are new here, I'm a part-time reseller that goes around to estate sales, garage sales, thrift stores to see what I can find to flip for a profit on eBay and only eBay. If you like reseller kind of content, if you're just getting started, I feel like mine is very approachable, my way of doing things. So I put out 3 reseller video a week. Most of them about 1 to 2 of what sold a week, and then 1 to 2 hauls and or shop with me's where I show comps and what I think I'm gonna sell things for. Usually, sometimes that happens, but usually I do send out like 10% off offers and things like that. So anyway, this is what sold for the 4 days. Oops, sorry. This is Ching number 55. This is what sold for the 4 days between August 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. I did do something here where I took a bin to Play-Dohs of some of my older inventory, and it ended up almost exactly like I expected in that they did not take very much. And then what they did take, I got about $4.50 per item on, and I was into those items for more than that. So I did lose some money, but I did recoup money as well. And I'd had them for over a year, so it was time for those to go ahead and move out. So I did sell 34 items this week. I had 8 that Play-Dohs purchased. And so I had 25 that I sold on eBay. My gross sales were $637.11. The price, and that's inclusive of taxes and shipping. The price that the buyer and I agreed to pay on with each other was about $445. I had $195 into these items, and I profited $172. Now, am I happy with that profit on that investment? No. However, when you hear what my average days on platform was for everything that I sold over these 4 days, you would understand that I am absolutely ecstatic to recover not only my purchase price of $195, but also to make $172. So at some point, you just have to be okay with having it be a lesson that you've learned as opposed to continuing to sit on the inventory and it not moving. So that's where I am. This has not happened in months, but the minimum amount of days something had been on platform before it sold for this week was 22 days. I usually have things that will sell almost within a day or two of listing. So this is interesting here, but I'm gonna chalk that up to what I've been listing as opposed to me doing anything wrong. The longest tail item I had was 474 days, and my average for the week was 262 days, which is terrible. Of the 34 things that sold, 8 on Play-Dohs. I had some I lost $6 on, which that's great. I had something I made 35 on, and then my average profit across all of the 33 items, including the Play-Doh sales, was $5.06, which is once again terrible. 32 of the 34 things that sold were bread and butter. And then I had 2 nicer sales. So I just want to say, this is okay, right? Like, I'm not upset at all about what has transpired the last 4 days. I am very optimistic and happy about what has been going out the door. I feel like the actions that I've been taking about ensuring I'm doing ending and sell similar for some of my older items, checking to make sure the pictures are good, adjusting the pricing on some of those items, which you'll hear about here, just to get them gone and recoup my money. All of those things are working based on what I'm seeing here. And I have gotten more out of those items via this route than if I had sold them at a garage sale. So for example, one of the things that I took to Plato's was a FootJoy polo shirt, like a golf shirt. I had $6.99 into it. I got $4.50 on average from Plato's for each item. So I lost $2.49. If I had tried to sell that at a garage sale, I maybe would have gotten $1. And so I would have lost $6. So I'm looking at this in the grand scheme of things, in that I'm not going to buy that again. So I've learned my lesson. I've recouped more than I was going to recoup. I now have more capital to go spend on better inventory that's going to sell better and for a higher price. And we're going to move on. So I'm good. I'm not going to flash up all the pictures of things that I took to Plato's. Like I said, I took 8 different items. The majority of things that they took were actually men's shirts. There was 1 women's pullover and 1 pair of women's shoes. I got $36 from Plato's, and I lost, let me see. Oh, I can't do that math on my iPad. I think I lost something like $30. I made $30 back. So once again, I'm okay. I'm happy with that. I am moving on from those bad decisions. I think that's the main things I wanted to go over before we go ahead and get into the sales. One thing I will say though is I did start a Buy Me a Coffee. If you want to help support me, my Pickin, my channel, the Pickin partner, etc., there's a link down in the description box to buy me a coffee. I am not monetized. I do this because I enjoy it and I like sharing and I like coaching. So just think about hitting that like, hitting that subscribe button, commenting. Those are the main things for me. You do not need to buy me a coffee, but if you do want to support the channel financially, that is one way to do it. All right, let's get into what sold. First thing that sold was a vintage slate wall hanging sign. It said, "So it's not home sweet home after all," or something like that. I had 50 cents into this from an estate sale back in February. It sold for $15, and so I made $11.22 after 149 days. Let's see, hang on. All right, next thing that sold is a vintage Knickerbocker stuffed animal. This was a green striped rabbit. I had 50 cents into him from an estate sale last August. It sold for $12.92, and so I made $9.85 after 349 days. Next is something I wouldn't buy again, but I got my money back. This is a pair of Nike women's Lunarlon Summer Light golf shoes. They were size 9, so great size. I paid $12.99 for these at a regular Goodwill back in March of 2024. They went out on sale. I sold them for $16.11, and I lost 3 cents after 435 days, but I almost made all of my initial investment back that I can put into something else. Next is a completed Bucilla, or Bucia. I don't know exactly how you say it. I've always said Bucilla, but that's probably my southern twang taking it into account. Home is Where the Heart Is sampler. It was completed. I paid $2 for this at an estate sale last November. It sold for $9.82, and so I made $6.88 after 242 days. Next is a women's linen coral skirt. It didn't have like a really recognizable brand. It was linen, it was lined, it was super cute. I paid $3.16 for this at a regular Goodwill back in April. Got an offer for $10 and said goodbye and made $5.65 after 100 days. I'm letting go of a lot of dresses, skirts, and things like that for less than what I wanted at this point. Honestly, I don't want to keep them for another season, because what that may entail is things not being in style again next season based on what I picked up. And so we're just going to go ahead and let those go. Next is a Philosophy brand. This was Marzipan Dreams. Shampoo, shower gel, bubble bath with a pump. I actually bought 2 of these at Marshall's for some retail arbitrage. They were marked down to $8, so with tax I had $8.80 into it. I already sold the other one. I got an offer for $20.50 on this one, and I said okie dokie because I've had it a while. So I made $6.85 after 200 days. Not something I would pick up again, at least not for that price. Things you think about later. Next up is a pair of Disney Parks Minnie Mouse ears. These were rose gold. Nothing into these. They came from a house clean out. They sold for $9.60, and so I made $7.37 after 22 days. Next is an item that I actually took to Plato's, but they did not accept it. So I went ahead and listed it, I think for like $10. Relisted it, did sell similar, marked it down to $10 because I've had it since March of 2024. It is an UMG boho dress, tunic, elbow length, sleeves, size medium. I got an offer for $6. Goodbye. I had 7 into it, and so I lost 33 cents after 436 days. Next up is a Vera Bradley faux leather zip around wallet, another thing that I've had since April of 2024. You're seeing a theme here. I got an offer for $10, which I went ahead and accepted. I had paid $6.99 for this at a local Goodwill. So I made $1.10 after 436 days, but it's gone, right? And I get to find new and better things to pick up. Next up is one of my more recent pickups. This is a pair of Fit Flop rally shoes. They were ivory felt slip-ons. I paid $10.49 for these at a regular Goodwill back in June. They sold for $28. I got an offer for $28. And so I made $11.66 after 49 days. Another thing that I'm glad is gone. This is in a bandana by American West women's purse. When I picked it up, I didn't realize that it had some leather damage. I paid $7.73 for this back in February. I got an offer for $19, and so I took that and made $7.94 after 159 days. Next up is another incredibly long tail item. This is a really cute maxi dress by the brand Sangria. I believe it's vintage, floral, very, very cute. I actually took this to Plato's as well. They did not take it. So I brought it home, marked it down to $10. I had $3.49 into it, and so I made $4.28 after 474 days. Yay, it's gone. Next is a Vera Bradley eyeglass case. I picked this up at the bins back in May. I have $1 cost of goods, got an offer for $5 and made $2.54 after 55 days. Next is probably one of my more disappointing sales this week that I was hoping was going to sell for a lot more when I bought it, but it's been a year, and so I just went ahead and let it go. This is some vintage Japanese stoneware. It was a creamer and a sugar, very classic looking. Just didn't get any attention. I paid $4.13 for the set at the Goodwill. Got an offer for $12 and said goodbye. So I made $3.72 after 358 days. Next is something that I picked up at a Goodwill down in Florida back in May. This is Lifetime Cutlery Stainless. This is gold tone, made in Korea, 50 pieces. It had 7 place settings plus some extras. I didn't realize how much wear there was on this particular set when I picked it up, or I probably would not have bought it. I paid $8.70 for the big bag of flatware. I got an offer for $20, so I just went ahead and accepted that and made $7.28 after 54 days. Next is one of my better sales. Next 2 are my 2 over bread and butter where I actually exceeded my profit goals for the week. This is a nativity set. It had 11 figures in it, wooden stable, made in Japan. The funny thing is, like, people say you touch something and then it sells. I've been redoing my inventory. So this thing has been sitting in a box that was too small for it for months. I was like, well, I'm going to just go ahead, pull this, get it in a box that fits, go ahead and package it up so when it sells, I don't have to deal with it later because I have extra boxes right now. And then it sold the next day. I'm like, sweet. So I have $1.13 into this from a yard sale back in, an estate sale in March. It sold for $30, and so I made $22.21 after 111 days. And next is my best sale of the week. This is a Pottery Barn Kids Bouquet of Flowers twin size duvet cover. I paid $8 for this at a yard sale back in August of last year. I've been marking it down since then. I thought I was going to get a little bit more, but it finally sold for $49. And so I made $34.60 after 358 days. Next is a pair of Keen sandals. These are men's. I've had these since February. We're getting out of the sandal season. So once again, I'm like, oof, I need to get these gone. So I actually paid up for these at $13.16 at a local thrift store. I would not buy them for that amount again. At the time, I was thinking I would be able to get more for them. They've been marked down a couple of times and they finally sold for $19.16. And so I made $1.94 after 22 days. Next is a J. Jill blazer. It was like a Ponte knit, size 2X, waterfall front or open front with no buttons. I paid $6.17 for this at a local Goodwill back in June. Got an offer for $19. I said okie dokie, and I made $10 in just 47 days, which if I had sat on it, would I have made more? Probably, but I felt comfortable with the $10 profit that I knew I was going to make, and so we just took it and moved on. Next is a filigree floral picture frame that I picked up from the bins back in May for $1. I got an offer for $11, which I accepted, and so I made $6.52 after 92 days. Next is one I'm super stoked is gone again. This is a new vintage bedazzled board game, mystery game that I paid, let's see, $3.99 for at a regular Goodwill back in June of 2024. So when I got an offer for $7 whole, I said okie dokie and said goodbye and made a whopping $1.52 after 429 days. And then funnily enough, something else sold that I have had for 430 days right after that. This is a Dakin Golden Retriever plush. It was from 1992. Very cute. I had 68 cents into him from a local Goodwill and got an offer for $10, accepted that, and made $8.19. Next item is a vintage flatware. This is Sears and Roebuck. These are servers, so there was like a spork spoon and a regular spoon. I had $1 into these from a regular Goodwill back in December where I bought a bag of flatware, and the majority of the flatware matched. These two servers did not match that particular pattern, so I pulled them out and listed them separate. They sold for $9.48, so I made $6.99 after 216 days. I actually like selling flatware. I feel like it's easy, but that's just me. Next item is a Kavu crossbody sling bag. It is red and black checked with a buffalo check. Picked this up for $6.29 at a local Goodwill back in June. It was practically new, and I knew it would sell, and so I sold it for $18.36, and so I made $7.60 after 48 days. Next is a fun sale. This was a vintage water spinning toy. I had $1 into it from an estate sale back in August. Pretty sure the same one I bought that Knickerbocker plush from. It's really weird how that happens sometimes, but what do I know? I got an offer for $12, and so I made $8.71 after 352 days. Let's see, last but certainly not least, this is a Title IX, I think it's a Nimbleen coral pink laser cutout sleeveless midi dress, size extra large. I actually sourced this off of ThreadUp last October. I paid $15 for it because I thought it was going to sell for about $29, and at the time I wasn't able to go out sourcing very much. So I was like, this is not so bad. Title IX sells pretty well. Let me go ahead and pick this up and sell it. I was wrong. It sold for $20, and so I made $1.48 after 269 days. So as I always say, be a better reseller than me. Don't pick up things that have a really slow sell-through or oversaturated, or there's just nothing there for you. But we're just being transparent here about what did and didn't work. And I have 33 items that are gone in 4 days, which is great. I try to list about 5 a day and sell 5 a day. So exceeding the selling at this point is what I'm looking for. If I list 5, I'd love to sell at least 5 or more because I'm trying to kind of downsize my inventory a bit. I don't really have much that I don't want to keep listed at this time, but I'm still going through a lot of my bins to see if there's any small things that I need to like pull and just go ahead and get rid of. So that's what I have for you there. Let's see, as far as where the profit came from, 35% came from Goodwill, 34% from estate sales, 20% from yard sales. The household goods came in clutch this week with 62% of the profit, 22% from clothing, 16% from toys, and I imagine the clothing was so low because I actually lost money on those 8 items that I sold to Play-Doh. So, but they're gone, guys. Take the money and run. Give me a thumbs up if you don't mind. If you feel like I've earned your willingness to come watch me again, give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye.